The Phantom Locker, a mystery of identity and perception. The hallways of Eastwood High School were eerily quiet as students made their way to their next class. It was only the second week of school, but already the novelty of a new academic year had worn off. For Samantha, however, the excitement of a new beginning was still fresh. She had just moved to this town and started high school, leaving behind her old life and her old school. Samantha walked down the hallway and saw a row of lockers on her right. She noticed that the locker next to hers had a bright red sticker with the number 3 on it. Samantha's locker was number 21, and she knew that it was near the end of the hallway. She walked a few more steps, then stopped at her locker. As she began to spin the combination lock, she noticed a strange smell emanating from the locker next to hers. It was an unpleasant, musty odor, unlike anything she had smelled before. Samantha's curiosity got the best of her, and she turned to the locker next to hers. She tried to open it, but it was locked. Samantha decided to ask her classmate Max about it. Max was in her English class and seemed friendly enough. Later that day, during lunch, Samantha approached Max. "Hey, Max, do you know whose locker is next to mine? The one with the red sticker and the number 3 on it," she asked. Max raised his eyebrows. "Oh, that one. Yeah, that locker's been empty for years. No one knows why. But it's always been locked and no one's ever seen anyone use it." Samantha was intrigued. "Really? That's so strange. Do you think there's something inside it?" Max shrugged. "Who knows? Maybe it's haunted or something. I wouldn't mess with it if I were you." Samantha laughed, haunted. "Come on, Max. That's ridiculous." Max shook his head. "I'm serious. I heard a story once about a kid who opened a locker like that and got cursed for the rest of his life." Samantha rolled her eyes. "Yeah, right. Thanks for the warning, Max, but I think I'll take my chances." As Samantha walked back to her table, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was something strange about that locker. She decided to investigate it further. The next day, Samantha arrived at school early. She knew that the hallways would be mostly empty and she could investigate the locker without anyone seeing her. She walked up to the locker and took a deep breath, bracing herself for the musty smell. To her surprise, the smell was gone. Samantha tentatively touched the locker and felt it was cold to the touch. She decided to try to open it again. This time, the lock turned and the door creaked open. Samantha peeked inside and saw a dark, empty space. She reached in and felt around but didn't find anything. Disappointed, she closed the locker door and started to walk away. Suddenly, she heard a noise coming from inside the locker. It was a low, rumbling sound like someone clearing their throat. Samantha froze, unsure of what to do. She knew she should run away, but her curiosity got the better of her. She opened the locker door again and peered inside. To her horror, she saw a pair of glowing eyes staring back at her. Samantha screamed and stumbled back, tripping over her own feet. She scrambled to her feet and ran down the hallway as fast as she could, her heart pounding in her chest. Samantha's hands were shaking and she could barely catch her breath. She had to tell someone what she saw, but who would believe her? She thought about going to the principal, but she didn't want to be seen as a troublemaker. Samantha decided to confide in her new friend, Max. She found him in the library and told him everything. "I opened the locker next to mine and I saw a pair of glowing eyes staring back at me," she said. Max's eyes widened in disbelief. "Are you serious? That's insane. We have to tell someone." Samantha nodded, relieved that she wasn't alone in this. They decided to go to the school security guard, Mr. Jackson. When they found Mr. Jackson, he was sitting in his office eating a sandwich. "What can I do for you kids?" he asked. Samantha and Max exchanged nervous glances. Samantha spoke up. "We need to report something strange that happened in the hallway." Mr. Jackson raised an eyebrow. "What kind of strange thing?" Samantha hesitated, unsure of how to explain what she saw. "Max took over. There's a locker next to Samantha's that's been locked for years. She opened it yesterday and saw something inside." Mr. Jackson put down his sandwich and leaned forward. "What did you see?" Samantha took a deep breath. "I saw a pair of glowing eyes staring back at me." Mr. Jackson's face paled. "You saw what?" Samantha repeated herself. "A pair of glowing eyes. They were staring at me from inside the locker." Mr. Jackson stood up and grabbed his walkie-talkie. "This is Jackson. We have a potential security breach in the hallway. Send back up to investigate." Samantha and Max watched as a group of security guards rushed down the hallway, armed with flashlights and walkie-talkies. They surrounded the locker and began to pry it open. Samantha watched in horror as they opened the locker and found nothing inside. No glowing eyes, no mysterious object, nothing. The locker was completely empty. Mr. Jackson turned to Samantha and Max. "Are you sure you saw something in there?" Samantha nodded vigorously. "I swear I saw a pair of glowing eyes. They were staring right at me." The security guards searched the hallway and found nothing out of the ordinary. Mr. Jackson took Samantha and Max's statements and sent them back to class. Samantha couldn't concentrate on anything for the rest of the day. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching her, following her. She felt like she was going crazy. The next day, Samantha approached the locker nervously, unsure of what she would find. She opened the door slowly and peeked inside. It was empty just like before, but this time there was a piece of paper taped to the back of the locker door. Samantha reached in and grabbed it. The paper was covered in cryptic symbols and words that she didn't understand. Samantha felt a chill run down her spine as she read the words aloud. "Beware the phantom locker. It sees all, knows all, and will stop at nothing to protect its secret." Samantha knew that she had stumbled onto something bigger than herself. She didn't know what the phantom locker was, but she knew that it was dangerous. She had to find out more, but she couldn't do it alone. Samantha sought out Max and told him about the paper. Max was skeptical, but Samantha was insistent. "We have to figure out what this means. Maybe there's a secret code or a hidden message in these symbols." Max shrugged. "No, Samantha. This could be a prank or something." Samantha shook her head. "No, I don't think so. I have a feeling that this is connected to what I saw in the locker." Max sighed. "All right, fine. What do you want to do?" Samantha thought for a moment. "We need to find out who used to own that locker. Maybe they left something behind that can give us a clue." Max nodded. "Okay, let's start with the school records. We can ask the principal for permission to look them up." Samantha and Max went to the principal's office and explained the situation. The principal was hesitant at first, but he eventually gave them permission to search the records. They spent hours poring over old school records, looking for any information about the locker's previous owner. Finally, they found a name. Jonathan Williams. He had been a student at the school 15 years ago, but he had disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Samantha and Max did some more research and found out that Jonathan had been a brilliant student with a particular interest in science and technology. He had been working on a top secret project before he disappeared. Samantha and Max's curiosity was piqued. They decided to do some investigating of their own. They started by going to the library and looking up everything they could find about Jonathan Williams. They discovered that Jonathan had been obsessed with the idea of creating a machine that could read people's thoughts. He had spent years working on the project, but no one had ever seen the finished product. Samantha and Max started to put the pieces together. They realized that the phantom locker must be connected to Jonathan's project. Maybe he had hidden the machine inside the locker and it had somehow gained a mind of its own. Samantha and Max went back to the locker and examined it closely. They tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge. They looked for any signs of tampering, but the locker appeared to be completely normal. Samantha's phone beeped, and she saw a message from an unknown number. "Meet me at the school after hours. I have information about the phantom locker." Samantha showed the message to Max, and they decided to take a chance and meet the sender. They went to the school after hours and found a figure waiting for them in the shadows. The figure stepped forward, and Samantha gasped. It was Jonathan Williams. He looked exactly like he did in the old photos they had found. "Jonathan," Samantha said, her voice barely above a whisper. Jonathan smiled. "Yes, Samantha, it's me. I've been watching you and Max for a while now. I knew you were the only ones who could help me." Samantha and Max exchanged confused glances. "Help you with what?" Max asked. Jonathan motioned for them to follow him. He led them to a hidden room in the basement of the school. Inside, there was a machine that looked like something out of a science fiction movie. "This is my creation," Jonathan said proudly. "The machine that can read people's thoughts. But something went wrong. It gained a mind of its own and started to control me. I had to lock it away in the phantom locker, but it's been trying to escape ever since." Samantha and Max were in shock. They couldn't believe what they were hearing. "How can we help you?" Samantha asked, still trying to process the situation. "I need you to help me destroy the machine," Jonathan said. "It's too dangerous to be left unchecked." Samantha and Max exchanged worried glances. They didn't know anything about destroying a mind-reading machine, let alone one that was capable of controlling its creator. "But how do we destroy it?" Max asked. "I've been working on a way to shut it down permanently," Jonathan explained. "But I need your help to do it. I need someone to distract the machine while I disable its power source." Samantha and Max nodded, still unsure of what they were getting themselves into. They followed Jonathan back to the phantom locker. He explained the plan to them in hushed tones, making sure not to alert the machine. "I'm going to open the locker, and you two need to keep the machine distracted while I work on disabling it," Jonathan whispered. "Just keep talking. Keep it focused on you. I'll take care of the rest." Samantha and Max nodded, and Jonathan slowly opened the locker. They could hear the hum of the machine inside, and it sent chills down their spine. "Hey, machine," Samantha said, trying to sound confident. "We know all about you now. We know what you're capable of." The machine didn't respond, but Samantha could feel it listening. "We're not afraid of you," Max added, trying to sound braver than he felt. "You may have controlled Jonathan, but you can't control us." The machine started to hum louder, and Samantha could feel it trying to read their thoughts. She focused on random things, trying to keep the machine guessing. Jonathan was working frantically behind them, trying to disable the machine's power source. Samantha and Max kept talking, trying to keep the machine's attention on them. Finally, Jonathan let out a triumphant shout. "I've got it!" Samantha and Max breathed a sigh of relief as Jonathan emerged from behind them, holding a small device in his hand. "This should destroy the machine once and for all," Jonathan said. "Are you ready?" Samantha and Max nodded, and Jonathan pressed the button on the device. There was a blinding flash of light, and Samantha and Max shielded their eyes. When they opened them again, the machine was gone. Jonathan let out a sigh of relief. "It's finally over," he said. Samantha and Max looked at each other, still trying to process everything that had happened. "Thank you for helping me," Jonathan said, his voice full of gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you." Samantha and Max smiled, still in shock from the entire ordeal. As they walked out of the school, Samantha couldn't help but feel like she had just been a part of something incredible. She had helped to destroy a mind-reading machine that had gained a mind of its own. She knew that she would never forget the phantom locker and the mystery of identity and perception that it had brought into her life.